Hello world, welcome to Learning Java, one byte at a time. This is video 48 in a tutorial series geared at bringing the wonderful wide world of Java to those with little or no programming experience. This video is a continuation and hopefully a finalization of the development of the bookr application, a vehicle appraisal app. In the last video, we completed the last bit of code for the controller and launch class. In this video, we're going to attempt to run it and very likely have some debugging before we can finally see the final version of this application. So if we jump right in here to our command prompt, we'll go ahead and attempt to compile in the package format every one of our Java classes, and as expected we have a slew of errors. So let's go ahead and start at the beginning here. The first error it's showing is that in the controller class on line 30 we have an expected bracket right here, and I can see already what's wrong. It's got the declaration class vehicle enabled previous owner's text field listener, and I have here the word implement action listener instead of implements action listener. So that's going to be an easy fix. So we'll go to line 30 in our controller class here in our Notepad++, and we will adjust that to implements. All right, so with that change made, let's go ahead and attempt to recompile this. All right, going down the line here, the next error, it shows line 53 in the controller class. It was expecting a closing bracket. Let's see here, we have a string.value of view.getVehicleBaseCost. And so you can probably already tell the issue here is that I'm making a call to a method, but I have failed to enclose or to include the parentheses with that method. So let's go to line 53 in our controller class, and we will make sure right here. Here we go. So view.getVehicleBaseCost, and this is expecting the parentheses to tell it that it is in fact a method. We'll save that. And let's go ahead and attempt to compile this one more time. All right. So up here we have line 53. It looks like there was, it actually might be too many parentheses here. So let me go ahead and check that. Line 53, we've got an open parenthesis. And yes, so here we do, we have an extra parenthesis. Let's get rid of that. We'll save that and we'll attempt to recompile. Okay, so in the controller class, Java line 151, it was expecting a semicolon, and indeed it looks like there on that line 151 I have forgotten a semicolon, so let's go down to line 151, and we will make sure we put the semicolon there. So if you can probably already tell, the point of going through this debugging process is just to show you how the compiler does a pretty good job of catching these errors and actually pointing you to, in most cases, the exact spot and the exact cause of the error. And just to kind of get your eyes used to looking at all of this gobbledygook here, it is actually not too difficult once you kind of get used to reading the error code here, and it's actually pretty easy to debug. And debugging is probably about 90% of writing code. So let's go ahead and attempt to compile this one more time. We have a few more errors. And also keep in mind that when debugging, it's best to start at the very first error, because it's very likely that this first error is causing some of these subsequent errors. And so it doesn't do any good to start working on the last error if the last error is actually being caused by the first error. So we'll go up here, and it says it looks like 151. Nope. That was the last one. So here we have Java line 61 in the controller class, cannot find symbol doa.saveData. Okay, so that's interesting because it's the data access object, not the data object access. And so I've got the O and the A transposed there. So let's go to line 61 and make sure we adjust that. Line 61 here, it should be DAO. That was a dumb mistake. I'll go ahead and save that and jump back in here and try to recompile it. Okay, so on line 81, a non-static method, showOpen dialog, cannot be referenced from a static context. So we have an integer r value equals the jFileChooser dot showOpen dialog. Okay, so I can see what's going on here. We've actually instantiated the JFileChooser, but we've assigned it to a variable of our choice. That variable that we picked to assign it to should be the one calling this method, not the superclass JFileChooser. This class itself is actually static. It's our instantiation that we should be using to call that method. So let's jump over here to the controller. Looks like line 81. And all right, so here we have the JFileChooser, which is the parent class. We've called it loadFileChooser when we instantiate it. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that it's the loadFileChooser. This is going to be our instance of it. That should be calling that method. I believe that's all we need to do for that one. So let's see if that fixed that. Okay, we're getting down to the bare nook. Now we have here, looks like Java line 83 cannot find symbol, and again that's that same mistake from before. I interposed the O and the A in the data access object. So let's jump to line 83 and make sure that we correctly identify that that's the data access object. So that should take care of that one. Okay, just a couple more errors here. Java controller class line 97. It says cannot find symbol view.set vehicle previous owners. Set vehicle previous owners in the view class. Set vehicle previous owners, line 97. Let's jump over here to 97 and see what's going on here. View.set vehicle previous owners. Let's go to the view class and see what's going on there. Set vehicle previous owners. And that's why, because right here we've actually misdefined, or we've misnamed the method. We've called it set previous owners, and the nomenclature we were following in this class is everything had the vehicle name attached to it. Set vehicle mileage, set vehicle grade, set vehicle keyless entry, and here we omitted that accidentally. We just called it set previous owners. So let's go ahead and rename that to keep it consistent. We'll call it set vehicle previous owners. We'll save that, and then this should be correctly finding that method. So if we go back and recompile, and it looks like we're down to one error. All right, so in the controller, line 163, variable E is already defined in the method action performed, and I'm trying to catch it as exception E. That's going to be in line 163 in the controller class. Let's find out what's going on there. We'll go down here to line 163. We are in fact catching the exception E. We're trying to print it to the stack trace. Nothing wrong with that. I think what the issue is though we're also using the letter E to identify the action event, and that's probably where it's getting confused. We're using the same variable to refer to two different things. One of them here is referring to the action event, and then again down here we're re-referencing it, but we're trying to refer it to the exception. So this should be pretty easy. Let's just call this EX for exception. We'll differentiate those two variables. That way it doesn't get confused. And if we save that and jump back in here, try to recompile it. All right, it looks like there's no errors. So let's go ahead and try to run it. It's going to be Java, and it's going to be the launch class. Let's see here. It's probably because it's a project. Let me do Java/D. bookr.launch not found. Let me see here. I think it's because it's going to be a lowercase b in bookr. So we'll do Java bookr.launch to access that from the package. All right, excellent. And here we are. After nearly 20 videos later, we have finished a version of the bookr vehicle appraisal application. Let's just make sure that this thing works. So we'll do a project name. We're going to call this one Betty White. This is going to be my Toyota Camry. She is a 2006. And her base cost, I believe, is going to be, we're just going to say $25,000. Again, this is the base cost. Obviously, she's very old. She's an automatic, front-wheel drive. She does have airbags. I think she has the automatic braking system, no rear view camera. She is definitely a performance model, and she has 175,000 miles on her. I'm going to be the second owner of this car. There's one previous owner. And as you can see there, that actually disables that box when we uncheck it, as we were hoping. She has keyless entry, no premium sound, no GPS navigation. She is a luxury vehicle. And I'm looking for a 5% commission rate on this and no accident history. So let's go ahead and generate the ad. Oh, wonderful, look at that. So, meet Betty White. As a person with refined taste, this 2006 Toyota Camry is built for you and no other. Flaunt your style while cruising through town with this automatic front-wheel drive vehicle. Feel confident with airbags, ABS, and no rear-view camera without sacrificing speed with the top-notch performance-grade engine. Gently driven with 175,000 miles and only one previous owner, this incredible work of art is right off the showroom floor. Treat yourself to keyless entry, no GPS navigation, and no premium sound. With no accident history, you can put your mind at ease knowing this dream machine will never disappoint. You deserve this luxury model today for the low price of $2,016. Now, to me, she is priceless, but that value is in fact pretty close to the Blue Book value for that car. So let's go ahead and see if we can save this project. Perfect, and here is our little save file dialog box. We will go ahead and redirect that to, let's see, our Java project should be in here, and there's our bookr application, and we're going to save her as Betty White. Betty White save successful. All right, excellent. Let's try a new project. That clears everything out. Perfect. Let's try load project and see if we can locate Betty White. And this, of course, can be fixed if you were to go to the file chooser and actually put in the specific save and load path. We could actually have this come up directly. And we'll jump in here. We'll see if we can find Betty White. There she is. Open her up. And perfect. It populates all of the fields with all of the saved data just as we were expecting with the same generated ad. Well, I would call this project to be finished. Now, obviously, there's a lot of ways we could go with this. The user interface is horrible, so we could definitely make some improvements there. Secondly, we could attach this to a database, and so rather than saving all this information or loading it from a file, we can actually stream this to a database connection and make it even more efficient. We can make a web implementation of this so that it comes up in a web page instead of a standalone application. And if I'm being completely honest, we could probably go through and refactor this code and make it a lot more efficient and a lot more streamlined. And so this is by no means a fantastic application, but it is a great way to kind of sink your teeth into Java and get yourself familiar with all of the different functionality that's there. And so in the next video, and probably the last video in this tutorial series, I'm going to kind of cap off everything we've learned and maybe point into a couple directions that as a new developer or a new programmer, if Java has been interesting to you, where you could go from here. Otherwise, hopefully this has been fun and entertaining, and I look forward to seeing everyone back again in the next and probably last video. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.